Hello friends, myself Dr. Nandakumar Rao from College of Engineering Ambazugai is going to deal with Applied Thermodynamics 1. So this is 31st lecture. In previous lecture we have discussed about numerical on Brayton cycle. So today we are going to start with a new topic known as steam nozzle, where a steam nozzle is used. We will discuss or we will have introduction about the steam nozzle. Then we will study flow of steam through the nozzle. Then condition for maximum discharge of steam through a nozzle. Then we will find out maximum discharge and the relation for maximum velocity at the maximum discharge condition. Now let us see what this steam nozzle is. So steam nozzle are used to produce high velocity steam jet, which is used in turbine and injectors, which is also used for pumping fuel water into the boiler. The steam nozzle is a passage of varying cross section by means of which a part of enthalpy of steam is converted into kinetic energy as the steam expands from a high pressure to a lower pressure. The amount of energy so converted depends upon the pressure ratio and type of expansion. That is nothing but a passage of varying cross section is called as a steam nozzle through which steam is passed. While the steam passing through this nozzle, the enthalpy heat energy which is contained by that steam is converted into kinetic energy, and that kinetic energy is utilized for various purposes. Let us see the types of nozzles. So there are two types of nozzles. One is convergent nozzle, another is convergent divergent nozzle. So in case of convergent nozzle, the cross-section area gradually diminishes. The cross-section area starts to reduce. So at the inlet, this is inlet and this is outlet, section 1 and section 2. So at section 1, the cross-section area is larger as compared with the cross-section area at section 2. So in this case of convergent nozzle, the cross-section area diminishes from inlet to outlet and is useful up to 0.58 pressure ratio. So this kind of nozzle is useful to the pressure ratio of 0.52. So here at inlet pressure is high, P1, and at outlet pressure is low, P2 is less. So pressure is going to decrease, velocity increases. So velocity at inlet is less, velocity at outlet is high. So pressure energy is converted into kinetic energy, that is nothing but velocity. So here what we see, this is feasible for the pressure ratio of 0.58. What is pressure ratio? So this outlet pressure P2 divided by P1 is known as a pressure ratio. Then second type of nozzle is convergent divergent nozzle. So in this nozzle, so first part is known as a convergent portion, where the cross-sectional area diminishes gradually to a certain extent, and after that this cross-sectional area starts to increase gradually. So the portion at which the cross-sectional area is minimum is known as a throat. So the part where the cross-sectional area diminishes is known as a convergent portion, and second part where the cross-sectional area gradually increases is known as a divergent portion. So here the least cross-section is known as the throat, whereas the divergent angle, this angle, divergent angle, which we can call here, this angle is of 7 degree. So this is to prevent separation of steam from wall. So if this cross-sectional area suddenly increased, then steam, instead of sticking up with the wall, this gets separated from wall, and here there will be formation of whorls, and which causes loss of energy. So to avoid the loss of energy, this divergent portion is gradually increased, cross section of divergent portion is gradually increased, and that angle is generally 7 degree. Now looking at the flow of steam through nozzle, so let us consider one convergent nozzle where we have section 1 at the inlet. So this is inlet of nozzle, and this is outlet of nozzle. So in this nozzle, let us see how this steam passes and how velocity of steam increases, and what is the effect of increasing velocity over the enthalpy. So now let us consider a steady flow energy equation. There are two types of steady flow energy equations. One is steady flow energy equation based on mass, and another is based on time. So we are considering steady flow energy equation on mass basis is given as so H1, where H1 is the enthalpy at inlet, plus V1 square divided by 2 plus of W, which is equal to H2 plus of V2 square divided by 2 plus of Q. So we call this as equation number 1. This is the steady flow energy equation which you might have studied in thermodynamics or elements of mechanical engineering at first year level. So what these terms are going to signify, H is nothing but enthalpy, where H is enthalpy of steam in kilojoules per kg, whereas V is velocity of steam in meters per second. W is work transfer in kilojoules per kg of steam, and Q is heat transfer in kilojoules per kg of steam. Now there are suffixes, suffix 1 and suffix 2. Suffix 1 indicates this is enthalpy at inlet. Suffix 2 H2 indicates this is enthalpy at outlet. V1 is velocity at inlet, V2 is velocity at outlet. So here what we can say is 1 and 2 are suffixes, suffix for inlet and outlet, respectively. Now for a nozzle, if this nozzle is insulated from all the sides, then there is no transfer of heat from this nozzle to the outside or surrounding, or there is no heat transfer from surrounding to the nozzle. So there is no heat transfer. So there is no heat transfer. Q is equal to 0. Q is equal to 0. heat transfer is 0. Therefore, we can write heat transfer Q is equal to 0 if the nozzle is insulated. As it is insulated, then there is no transfer of heat and there is no physical work. Here there is no moving part, nothing is there. So this system does not involve any kind of work transfer. So work done or work transfer is also equal to 0. So W is equal to 0. So now this equation number 1 can be written as W is equal to 0, Q is equal to 0. Therefore, equation number 1 can be written as H1 plus of H1 plus of V1 square divided by 2 is equal to H2 plus of V2 square divided by 2. So this equation can be rewritten as, say, once again I will copy that equation, H1 plus of V1 square divided by 2 is equal to H2 plus of V2 square divided by 2. So if we transfer this term H2 on left hand side, we will get this as, or here this equation can be written as V2 square divided by 2 is equal to H1 minus H2 plus of V1 square divided by 2. So transferring this 2 on right hand side, we get V2 square is equal to 2 in bracket H1 minus H2 plus of V1 square divided by 2. So this V2 is equal to square root of this 2 into 2. 2 gets cancelled. Okay, 2 is transferred on right hand side. So 2 comes here in multiplication. Multiplication with this 2 gets cancelled. So what is going to remain? 2 into H1 minus H2 plus of V1 square. So this is the velocity of steam is given by this equation number 2. So now we can say here V1 is very small compared with V2. See here, this is a nozzle. So the velocity of steam at inlet V1 and velocity of steam at outlet V2. So due to the cross section reduction in cross section, velocity V2 is very high. V2 is very high or greater than V1. Therefore V1 can be neglected and this equation can be written as V2 is equal to square root of 2 H1 minus H2. We can write it in this way. Now here this enthalpy is in kilojoules per kg degree Kelvin, kilojoules per kg. So this velocity we want in meters per second. Therefore this, while substituting enthalpy in this equation, we have to substitute in joules per kg. Therefore V2 is equal to square root of 2 into 10 to the power of 3 into H1 minus H2. So we get this as, we want this enthalpy to be substituted in kilojoules. So kilojoules into 10 to the power of 3, it gets converted into joules. So now on simplification of this constant term, we get this as 44.72 into square root of H1 minus H2, or this can be written as V2 is equal to 44.72 square root of delta H, where delta H is the enthalpy difference H1 minus H2. So this delta H can be called as isentropic enthalpy drop. Isentropic enthalpy drop. Delta H is isentropic enthalpy drop. Why we call this as isentropic enthalpy drop? Because this nozzle is insulated. So as it is insulated, there is no transfer of heat energy from this nozzle to surrounding or system to surrounding. Therefore, this process is isentropic process. As the steam pressure drops while passing through the nozzle, its enthalpy is reduced. When steam is passed through this nozzle, so enthalpy is going to decrease, velocity is going to increase. So say for example enthalpy H1 and H2. So when steam is passed through this nozzle, enthalpy H1 is very high, and at the outlet enthalpy gets reduced because this enthalpy is converted into velocity, kinetic energy. Enthalpy is reduced. This reduction in enthalpy of steam must be equal to increase in kinetic energy. So change in enthalpy must be proportional or maybe sometimes equal, approximately equal to change in kinetic energy, that is nothing but increase in the velocity. So change in enthalpy is approximately equal to change in kinetic energy. Hence, the work done by steam upon itself is equal to enthalpy drop. Steam is doing work on itself, and that work done by the steam on itself is nothing but the enthalpy drop. If law of expansion followed is PV raised to Nc. If in this case, if we assume that the law of expansion followed is PV raised to N is equal to constant, a polytropic process, then what we can say, change in kinetic energy. Change in kinetic energy means increase in the velocity, that is equal to change in enthalpy. Change in enthalpy. So here what happens, velocity increases, enthalpy decreases. That is nothing but the reduction in enthalpy is converted into increase in velocity, and that is nothing but equal to polytropic work. That is equal to polytropic work. So you may ask me, where is the question of expansion and polytropic work? Say here, this is the nozzle. If steam is passed through this, so initially enthalpy is H1, at the exit enthalpy is H2, initially velocity is V1, at the exit velocity is V2. So what is happening here? This enthalpy is going to decrease, and this enthalpy which decreases is converted into kinetic energy, velocity is going to increase. So what about the pressure? So at inlet there is a pressure P1, at outlet pressure is P2. So initially pressure is very high, and at the exit pressure is low. So when pressure gets reduced, that is nothing but the expansion process. So when we expand the steam or any fluid, then pressure gets reduced. So this reduction in pressure is indication of expansion process. So now what we can write here for change in kinetic energy. Change in kinetic energy is V2 square divided by 2 is kinetic energy at outlet, minus V1 square divided by 2 is kinetic energy at inlet, and that is equal to change in enthalpy. Enthalpy at inlet is H1 minus enthalpy at outlet is H2. So which is higher? H1 is higher than H2. So here enthalpy was initially H1, finally it is H2 which is less. But here kinetic energy at the inlet is less and at the outlet is more. That means initially enthalpy is more, kinetic energy is less. Finally enthalpy is less, kinetic energy is more, and that is equal to the polytropic work done, and that polytropic work is given by N divided by N minus 1 in bracket P1 V1 minus of P2 V2, where V is, this V is velocity, capital V is velocity, capital V is velocity in meters per second, and small v is nothing but the specific volume of steam. Specific volume of steam in meter cube per kg. Now what we have seen is V1, velocity V1 is very less than V2. Velocity V1, initially velocity of steam while entering into the nozzle is less, and the velocity of steam at the exit of nozzle is high. So therefore what we can write, so just we will take these two parts of this above equation, say equation number 4 say. So taking first and last part of this equation, so we can write here V2 square divided by 2 minus V1 square divided by 2, which is equal to n divided by n minus 1 P1 V1 minus of P2 V2. So here the first term is kept as it is, but second term, velocity V1 is very small, this term can be neglected. So therefore what we can write, velocity V2 is equal to V2 square is equal to 2n divided by n minus 1 in bracket P1 V1 minus P2 V2. Just we have transferred this 2 which is in denominator on right hand side, and this term, second term, is neglected because velocity V1 is very less than V2. So therefore this term is neglected. Then we can write this as V2 is equal to square root of, we can write it as, or square root will not write here, we will write it afterwards, we will convert that. So now V2 square is equal to 2n divided by n minus 1 into P1 V1 minus of P2 V2. So now what we do, V2 square is equal to, we'll take some common from this equation. So here P1 V1 is taken common, 2n divided by n minus 1 P1 V1 we take as common. So in this bracket P1 V1 is taken common, 1 is going to remain, minus of P2 V2 divided by P1 V1, because P1 V1 is taken common. So now we will see here this term V2 divided by V1 we want to convert into pressure. So this V2 divided by V1 is converted into pressure. So if we apply polytropic law, say P1 V1 to the power of n is equal to P2 V2 to the power of n. So this can be written as P1 divided by P2 is equal to V2 divided by V1 to the power of n. Just transferring V1 to the power of n on right hand side and P2 on left hand side, we get this. So this can be written as P1 divided by P2 to the power of 1 over n. 1 over n is equal to V2 divided by V1. So this n is transferred on left hand side. So this can be written again as P2 divided by P1. Here P1 by P2 is written. So if we want to reverse this, then what we can do is P2 divided by P1 to the power of, it was 1 by n, now we can write its negative power minus 1 by n, which is equal to V2 divided by V1. So V2 divided by V1 we were expecting here. So this was V2 divided by V1. So in place of V2 divided by V1, we can write it as P2 divided by P1 to the power of minus 1 by n. So this equation becomes V2 square is equal to 2n divided by n minus 1 P1 V1, which was taken common as it is, in bracket 1 minus of P2 divided by P1 as it is. In place of V2 divided by V1, we can write as P2 divided by P1 to the power of minus 1 by n, closing this bracket. So here we have P2 divided by P1 to the power of 1, we can say, and P2 divided by P1 to the power of minus 1 by n. So on simplification, we can rewrite this as, V2 square is equal to 2n divided by n minus 1 P1 V1 as it is, we can write in bracket 1 minus, so bases are same, indices can be added, so P2 divided by P1 is as it is, taken as it is, 1 minus of 1 by n, close this bracket. So V2 square is equal to, we can write as 2n divided by n minus 1 P1 V1 bracket 1 minus P2 divided by P1 to the power of, n is taken as LCM, so n into 1 is n minus 1. So this is nothing but the velocity square. So now velocity V2 is equal to square root of we can write as 2n divided by n minus 1 P1 V1 in bracket 1 minus P2 divided by P1 to the power of n minus 1 divided by n, close this bracket. So we can call this as equation number 5. So equation number 4 was also for velocity, equation number here we should write 3, equation number 3. So this equation number 3 gives us velocity in terms of enthalpy, and equation number 5 also gives us velocity at exit in terms of pressure, volume and polytropic index, assuming that the flow takes place polytropically. Now we want to find out the condition for maximum discharge through the nozzle. So condition for maximum discharge, what is condition? At which condition maximum steam will be discharged through the nozzle? Condition for maximum discharge. So at which condition maximum steam will flow through this? The flow of steam through nozzle is given by mass flow rate, EMS, is given by equation A1 V1 divided by small v1, which is equal to A2 V2 divided by small v2. So now this is known as a continuity equation or mass flow equation. So where A is the cross sectional area at inlet, V is the velocity at inlet, and small v is V1 is specific volume of steam at inlet. Similarly, A2 is cross sectional area at exit, V2 is velocity at exit, and small v2 is specific volume at exit. So here we'll write the terms what this ms is. ms is nothing but mass of steam. Mass of steam passing through the nozzle in kg per second, where A is the cross-section area of cross-section in meter square. Capital V is velocity of steam in meters per second, and small v, specific volume of steam specific volume of steam at exit, specific volume of steam in meter cube per kg, and suffix 1 and 2 are suffix for inlet and outlet. So now what we can write here is mass of steam, ms, mass flow rate of steam, ms is equal to A2 V2 divided by small v2. So now here this A2 divided by V2 small volume as specific volume. So for velocity we have derived one equation. Just now equation number 5. So equation number 5 we will substitute in place of V2. So this equation number 5 is substituted here, and square root of 2n divided by n minus 1 p1 v1 in bracket 1 minus p2 divided by p1 to the power of n minus 1 divided by n minus 1 divided by n. So this is the equation which was giving velocity. Now what we can do here is we will find out this v1 in terms of v2 in terms of v1, specific volume in terms of v1. So here, so this v2 which is at exit, specific volume at exit, we want to convert this in terms of specific volume at inlet. So to how to convert this, applying polytropic law, p1 to the power of n is equal to p2 v2 to the power of n. So this can be written as p1 divided by p2 is equal to v2 divided by v1 to the power of n. So transferring p2 on left hand side, v1 on right hand side, we get this. So this can be written as again p1 divided by p2 into v1 to the power of n is equal to v2 to the power of n can be written, or else v2 is equal to, just if you transfer this power n on left hand side, we will get this as 1 over n. So here p1 divided by p2 v1 to the power of n to the power of 1 over n we can write. So v2 can be written as power v1 to the power of n into 1 over n gets cancelled, but here v1 can be written as it is into p1 divided by p2 to the power of 1 over n, or else, so this v2 is in the denominator, v2 is in the denominator, so everything we will take reciprocal of this. So taking reciprocal of this equation, we can rewrite this as 1 over v2 is equal to 1 over v1 in bracket p2 divided by p1 to the power of 1 over n. So everything is taken in the denominator, reciprocal of everything is taken, therefore this power does not become negative. So converting everything which is on left hand side transferring on right hand side, and terms on right hand side are transferred on left hand side. So then we can rewrite this in terms of this way, v1 by v2 is equal to 1 by v1. So this just if we want to know this, just transfer this v2 on left hand side, right hand side, and the terms which are on right hand side transfer it on left hand side. So here we get v1 p1 divided by p2 to the power of 1 over n, which is equal to 1 over v2. So 1 over v2 we can write as it is here, 1 by v1 is written as it is. So p1 divided by p2, which is in the denominator, when we transfer in the numerator, so this becomes p2 divided by p1. It was in the denominator, so now this p2 is in the numerator, so this power remains same. So p2 divided by p1, p2 goes to the numerator, which is in the denominator of denominator. So now this v2 value, 1 by v2 is substituted in this equation, and we'll have one more equation. Next equation for mass flow rate ms is equal to, we get, first we will rewrite earlier equation, a2 divided by v2 square root of 2n divided by n minus 1 p1 v1 in bracket 1 minus p2 divided by p1 to the power of n minus 1 divided by n. So now, just now we have obtained this 1 by v2 is equal to 1 by v1 into p2 divided by p1 to the power of 1 over n. So substituting this in place of 1 by v2 as this term, we get this as e2 divided by v1 into p2 divided by p1 to the power of 1 over n square root of this remains as it is, 2n divided by n minus 1 p1 v1 in bracket 1 minus p2 divided by p1 to the power of n minus 1 divided by n, closing this bracket. So now this term p2 divided by p1 is transferred into this bracket, so in the square root. So on transferring, a2 divided by v1 remains outside, and this when is transferred into the square root, it has to be squared, then it has to be entered into the square root. So therefore square root 2n divided by n minus 1 p1 v1 into p2 divided by p1 to the power of 2 divided by n. So this square and square root gets cancelled. So when we want to transfer it into the square root, we have to make it square. In another bracket, 1 minus p2 divided by p1 to the power of n minus 1 divided by n, close this bracket. So now this P2 divided by P1 is transferred into this bracket. So again this A2 divided by V1 is written as it is, square root of 2n divided by n minus 1 P1 V1 as it is. Then transferring this P2 divided by P1 to the power of 2 by n, multiplying it with 1. So this becomes P2 divided by P1 to the power of 2 divided by n. If multiplied by 1, it becomes P2 divided by P1 to the power of 2 divided by n minus. So if we multiply this with this, P2 divided by P1 to the power of 2 divided by n into P2 divided by P1 to the power of n minus 1 divided by n. So on further simplification, this remaining term remains as it is, A2 divided by V1 square root of 2n divided by n minus 1 P1 V1 in bracket P2 divided by P1 to the power of 2 divided by n minus. So if we see here, bases are same, P2 divided by P1, P2 divided by P1, indices can be added. So adding indices, 2 divided by n plus of n minus 1 divided by n. So n is LCM, n 2 plus n minus 1. So n plus 1 minus divided by n. So 2 minus 1 is plus 1. n plus 1 divided by n. So here we can write P2 divided by P1 to the power of n plus 1 divided by n. On simplification, we get this and closing this bracket. So now we call this as equation number 6. Now therefore condition for maximum discharge can be obtained by differentiating this ratio P2 divided by P1. Just if we differentiate this bracket with respect to the ratio P2 divided by P1 and equating it with 0, we can obtain the condition for maximum discharge. So now the term which was given in the bracket, therefore the condition for maximum discharge is obtained by differentiating the term dms divided by d of P2 divided by P1. So here P2 divided by P1 is taken as a variable and equating it to 0, we get the condition. So here differentiating d of d P2 divided by P1 of this term which was there, P2 divided by P1 to the power of 2 divided by n minus of P2 divided by P1 to the power of n plus 1 divided by n and equating it with 0, we get the condition. So first of all, we want to differentiate these two terms with respect to P2 divided by P1. So here x to the power of n, differentiation of x to the power of n is given by n x to the power of n minus 1. So differentiation of x to the power of n is first taken into the multiplication, power is taken into the multiplication and 1 is subtracted. So similarly, so here power is 2 divided by n, that we have to take into the multiplication, 2 divided by n. P2 divided by P1 is in place of x, P2 divided by P1 to the power of 2 divided by n minus 1 minus of second term, differentiation of second term. So power is n plus 1 divided by n, this is power, into, in place of x, p2 divided by p1 is there, p2 divided by p1, to the power of n plus 1 divided by n minus 1, and this has to be equated to 0. Now on simplification, we get this as 2 divided by n, p2 divided by p1. So if we simplify this power, n is LCM, 2 minus n divided by n, we will get this simplification, power for first term. Then minus n plus 1 divided by n, p2 divided by p1 to the power of, so if we simplify this power here somewhere, just n plus 1 divided by n minus 1, so LCM is n plus 1 minus n, so here n gets cancelled, minus n plus n, 1 by n, so to the power of 1 by n we can write here. So this term gets converted to 1 by n is equal to 0. So now transferring this term on right hand side, we can write this as 2 divided by n, p2 divided by p1 to the power of 2 minus n divided by n, which is equal to, this is minus, if we transfer it on right hand side, then it will become plus. So therefore n plus 1 divided by n, p2 divided by p1 to the power of 1 over n. Now transferring the terms p2 divided by p1 on one side and n terms on another side, so we can rewrite this here. p2 divided by p1 to the power of 2 minus n divided by n whole divided by p2 divided by p1 to the power of 1 over n. So this p2 divided by p1 to the power of 1 over n is transferred on left hand side, whereas n plus 1 divided by n into n divided by 2. So this term is transferred, 2 divided by n is transferred on right hand side, it becomes n by 2. So now this n gets cancelled, p2 divided by p1 to the power of 2 minus n divided by n into this p2 divided by p1, if we transfer into the numerator, this becomes p2 divided by p1 to the power of minus 1 by n which is equal to n plus 1 divided by 2. So now if we see here, bases are same, p2 divided by p1, p2 divided by p1, indices can be added. So adding indices here, 2 minus n divided by n minus of 1 over n, LCM of this will be n. So 2 minus n minus 1, so minus 2 minus 1 is plus 1, so 1 minus n divided by n we can write. So here p2 divided by p1 to the power of 1 minus n divided by n is equal to n plus 1 divided by 2. So this can be written as p2 divided by p1 to the power of 1 minus n divided by n is equal to n plus 1 divided by 2. So this was the equation which we obtained here. So now on further simplification we can write this as P2 divided by P1 is equal to n plus 1 divided by 2 to the power of this power. If we transfer on right hand side, it becomes n divided by 1 minus n divided by 1 minus n. So this is the condition for maximum discharge. We call this as the condition for maximum discharge. Sometimes this is written as so this is P2 divided by P1 as it is, P2 divided by P1, which is equal to, just we will invert this. Instead of n plus 1 divided by 2, we write this as 2 divided by n plus 1. The changes in this will be n minus of 1 minus n. So if we make this negative, we can change this reciprocal of this. So here power is minus. So now again P2 divided by P1 is equal to 2 divided by n plus 1. So this minus 1 we multiply to this denominator, n divided by n minus 1. So here this can be called as the condition for maximum discharge, or this can be called as the condition for maximum discharge. And we say generally in majority of books they have used this term P2 divided by P1 is equal to 2 divided by n plus 1 to the power of n divided by n minus 1. So this is the condition for maximum discharge of steam through the nozzle. So now this pressure ratio P2 divided by P1, if is known as a critical pressure ratio. This is known as a critical pressure ratio. So at this condition, whatever is the value of P2 divided by P1 is known as critical pressure ratio. Now if the n value is known to us, for example, otherwise we will see it in next lecture. So this is the condition for maximum discharge. We stop here. So in next lecture we will discuss about the maximum discharge and velocity at maximum discharge. Okay, so this is how the derivation for condition for maximum discharge of steam through the nozzle is derived.